Today, Senate Democrats have filibustered legislation to reauthorize funding for our Coast Guard. In a dangerous world, the brave men and women of the Coast Guard are always ready for the call, whether it be to interdict drugs, secure our ports, or conduct daring maritime rescues. They deserve our support. They don't deserve a filibuster for the sake of political posturing. So let's have a little plain talk about why the bill failed. Democrats filibustered this legislation because it contains an eminently sensible bipartisan provision to streamline regulations for the mariners and vessel operators who drive America's maritime economy. It would cut back on duplicative rules and overlapping enforcement and provide a uniform standard that protects the environment and commerce alike. Now, if this sounds like a common sense bipartisan measure, that's because that's exactly what it is. This legislation has been favorably reported by the Commerce Committee 6 times. 6 times, Mr. President, during the last 3 Congresses, including when our Democratic friends controlled the committee. You might think that'd be enough around here to get a bill passed. But earlier today, a number of the very same Democrats who co-sponsored this very legislation in this very Congress flip-flopped under partisan pressure and voted against it. In fact, if all of the Senate Democrats who are currently co-sponsors of this provision had voted for the bill, the cloture motion would have passed. So let me say that again. If the co-sponsors of this measure in this Congress had voted for the bill, the cloture motion would have passed. If only those Democrats who put their name on this provision would have actually followed through and voted for it, the filibuster would be over. Look, our constituents sent us here to stand for their interests. In landlocked states like Kentucky and Missouri, thousands and thousands of jobs depend on our inland waterways. In coastal states like Delaware, Washington, and Florida, major ports enable hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. commerce. And of course, the people of Hawaii, relying on shipping for everything from groceries to gasoline. In all of these states and elsewhere, I know workers and job creators were excited about the prospect of reform in this area. How do I know that? Because in several cases, they successfully persuaded their own Democratic senators to support it, or so it had seemed until today. You know, Americans might be forgiven for thinking that persuading their senator to go out of their way and co-sponsor a bill would be the same thing as persuading them to actually vote for it. Apparently, where several of my Democratic colleagues are concerned, that's simply not the case. Because when party leaders came calling and asked my colleagues to put party line obstruction politics ahead of their constituents' best interest, they folded. This is what people don't like about this town. Well, my Democratic friends' political priorities may have shifted away from the people they're elected to fight for and toward left-wing pressure groups, but the merits of the issue have not changed. So the Senate will consider this issue further and will vote on this legislation again.